Hello, guys. Welcome to the first episode of the Algo-Rhythm of Love. I'm here with my pal Amber.
Hey, everybody.
This is the first episode, as I said, and I think a good place to start would be with the apps and with photos. What do you think about that for a first subject?
Yeah, I feel a theme coming on here. I feel like first impressions, making it count. We know we're making our first impression on you, but we want to share with the world why it's important to make a good first impression, especially on those dating apps.
Yeah, because if the first photo that they see is not decent, let's just be honest, most people are going to just move right on, swipe away right off the bat. So you've already lost before you've even started playing, really.
Yes, the swipe science, the data behind first impressions. People do decide before they read anything about you, and they base it on that very first photo. I pulled up some research. I'm a little bit of a data nerd here. Hinge reports that profiles with clear, natural, smiling photos perform significantly better than overly posed photos or filtered images.
Hmm.
I know that you know all about that and have a lot of strong opinions about that.
I do.
Photos that show personality and lifestyle create more engagement and conversation start. Prompt related photos increase interaction because they create an entry point for conversation.
Yeah, and I think that it's important to note too that when we're talking about the photos, we're talking about the quality of your photo, right? Which is not necessarily the same thing as how you look, what your appearance is. So let's leave appearance to the side for a moment, and we're only talking about how well you capture what you actually look like. And so that's things like, lighting, shadows, angles, stuff like that, because you want to have the best version of what you actually look like. You don't want the photo to make you look worse than you actually do, is what I'm trying to say.
Yeah, I think there's a whole first photo rule. There is a checklist. We're going to get to that.
Mhm.
But I think that it's good for us to just break down what we should be doing with the photos in our dating profile.
Yeah, and the thing you said about the filters and the curated and posed photos, those are easy to see through, and they just don't seem genuine. They don't seem realistic, and so if you're basically that comes down to trying too hard. If you look like you're trying too hard, and the heavily filtered, heavily modified with AI photos, stuff like that, where the person's face is one exact perfect tone the whole way through. It's just so easy to spot, and I don't think that it does what people think it does for them. I
Does the
think
opposite.
it does the opposite. Exactly right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think there is a checklist, right? There are key points that are part of what the apps say and what the golden rule is. My golden rule for etiquette is we have about 7 seconds to make that first impression, but the
Mhm.
data says that people are making a decision on you within seconds, and it's based on that first photo that loads. So what we need is to make sure that that first photo is the best representation of who we are. And there are some key points that need to be included when you pick that very first photo.
The 7 seconds, even it's not even that long now. I mean, that's an older number. If you think about when you're scrolling through an app, you don't look at a photo and count one. I mean, if you count 1 to 7, I think we spend maybe 1 to 3 at the most. And so if that first photo doesn't grab somebody's interest, or if it's at least not decent enough to stop them from wanting to look further, from wanting to look at your other photos, wanting to look at what you wrote in your bio, and hopefully you did, things like, depending on the app, what music choices, the prompts that you put in there. They're not going to look at any of that if the first photo is not decent enough to make them want to look further.
Yeah, Tinder actually says Tinder research has shown that authenticity outperforms perfection. So while you're over there editing and filtering your photo, trying to make it perfect, you really just need to be the best version of yourself and be authentic and there's a buzzword that we're going to use a lot today,
Hmm.
intentional
Hmm.
with the type of photo that you choose. So profile photos with genuine, candid photos will outperform heavily edited glamour style images. And just like you said, there is no 7 seconds here. People are making a
Hmm.
decision with whether they're going to swipe left or right within seconds, and it's not seven.
No, it's not. It's much shorter than that. And since you brought up intention, and that is a big buzzword, but that doesn't mean that it's invalid. I think that the other thing about how you choose your photos and what you choose to put for your photo it shows your intention and it shows the level of effort that you're willing to put in. If you decide to get on the dating app and you just grab 3 or 4 photos that were on your Facebook feed or in your camera roll and you just toss those up there, then you haven't put much thought or effort into basically what is your sales brochure in the dating marketplace, right? So if
Exactly.
I'm looking at that and I see that here you are putting yourself out there to possibly meet a mate and you're just randomly grabbing a photo. Well, for me, I would like to see a little more effort in putting your best foot forward. And just there's no effort in just grabbing some old photo and throwing it on there. So that's the other part, is not just how does the photo look, but what does it say about you and how willing you are to uh, be the best version of yourself that you can be.
Yeah, we're about to talk about what the apps say makes a good profile photo. But the key points here with this first photo is it needs to have your face clearly visible. So a clear face photo. Jason has already said good lighting, right? That's
Yeah.
super important. He's the tech guy. A genuine smile. There is research that says that you will perform better if you are smiling and have good eye contact in that first photo. You need to look warm and approachable. No RBF, right? So for those of us ladies who always look angry, it's not going to make us look presentable. No duck lips, Jason.
No duck lips.
Yep.
Yeah, I can't stand them. I don't understand why any grown woman would ever do duck lips. It's just, I don't know. It's just silly to me, and it's a major turn off along with any kind of Instagram filter, the puppy ears, noses, any of that stuff. I'm 50 years old. I'm not a kindergartner. I'm just not interested in that stuff, and I don't think that a grown woman on a dating app has any business putting any of that stuff in her profile. But you mentioned the RBF, the resting bitch face, and the smiling, and it's, at least to me, I don't know why, but at least to me, it's more understandable for the guys not smiling as much because maybe they're going for that stoic bad boy image, or guys are just doofuses a lot of times. But the women, especially nice looking women, I could think of 3 or 4 right now off the top of my head where they're just
Right.
not smiling in any of their photos, and not only not smiling, it's not even a neutral expression. It's like, I'm pissed off to be here. And that just, I'm thinking of one woman in particular. In every picture, it looks like she is sitting on the witness stand. She is so unhappy, and I don't get it. I don't understand it. It's very important.
Well, we are going to talk a little bit more as we dive into this episode about that word intention. And one of the things that we have to look at as we're moving back into dating is being a little bit more self aware. So, Jason has just told us about someone who has more than one photograph of herself where she does not look approachable. So, the highest performing photos have these things in common. The apps themselves are collecting data on what will get us engagement, Jason. The highest performing photos usually have these things in common. The apps are collecting data on what gets engagement. It is natural lighting. It is direct eye contact. It is the genuine smile. It's a solo photo. And we're going to talk about how it's not necessarily a good idea to have a photo with you and all of your girls in a photo together. Because if we're trying to figure out which one you are, sometimes we're going to maybe assume you're the wrong person or like that other girl a little bit better, or we're going to swipe. Clear face visibility, variety throughout in a full body photo is very important to get a good first impression of who we are. Yes, we can do lifestyle and action shots, which I know that you have some opinions about, and I do too. Photos that are current and personality over perfection.
But you named a lot of stuff there that's important, so we'll probably have to parse through that a little bit. But I think I want to say too that before we get deeper into specifically dating profile photos, let's just talk about, you mentioned the lighting angles. Basic photography has some certain rules, right?
Right.
Photography means painting with light. That's what the word literally translates from. And so you have to have decent light. If you are standing with the sun behind you or a light source behind you, all people are going to see is a dark silhouette of your face.
Yeah.
If you're wearing a hat and sunglasses, or if you're wearing a hat and it's casting a shadow over your face, just be aware of that kind of stuff. I mean,
Exactly.
the point of putting a photo on your dating profile is so people can see what you look like.
Right.
And so if you do things with the photography that hurt that goal, then you're not really accomplishing what you're setting out to accomplish. So have decent angles. Don't look down at your phone where you can see straight up your nose, like, the dad on Facebook that is sitting in his recliner and takes the picture looking down at his phone. Avoid that kind of stuff. Take it to a little bit of higher angle. Make sure you have decent lighting. Be aware of the background. Don't take it in the bathroom. Don't take it in an alley beside the trash cans. Just make it aesthetically pleasing. So those are some of the basic stuffs. And then going back into some of what some of the lists that you named, the group photos. Group photos are great if they're done right because they show what's called social proof. So if you
Right.
have photos of you with a social group, it shows that you're able to get out and make friends, that you have a social network, that you are out doing things with your life. The thing you want to avoid is having too many group photos, especially large groups, because people are not going to sit there and study it to figure out which one you want.
Right.
So that's the big pitfall to avoid in the group photos.
I agree with you. So there are some rules that immediately turn me off when I am scrolling and looking at guys online, and a couple of them are leading with your gym photos. Right, keep your
Mhm.
gray sweatpants for another topic for a different day.
Mhm.
Right, I love that you like to work out, and I love that that's a big part of who you are. Jason, you're a DJ, so I could see you having DJ photos. You also ride a motorcycle. Those things are good, but they may not necessarily need to be the first photo. Obviously, that photo with you and your dead animals, we need to move that further down because there may be so many other wonderful, fantastic things about you.
Mhm.
But if I see that first photo of you where you've just shot the deer and the blood and the guts are everywhere, I don't know that I'm going to keep swiping to find out all the other great things about you. Whereas if that was further down, or your gym photo was further down,
Mhm.
then I can see that being part of what you would do. But
Yeah, it's the photos are think of your photos as a filtration system, and you're filtering out who you want to be interested in you, right? You're figuring out, and so the kind of photos you put on there, as far as the lifestyle, like the hunting and the gym photos, what you talked about. Um, I have never met a single woman, and I've talked to a lot of them who never one who liked the bloody animal or the dead fish. It seems to be one of the things that they critique and make fun of the most often. And it's one of the things that guys just continue to do. There's this cognitive dissonance that I see in people. It's even if you can show them and prove to them that, hey, what you're doing isn't working, it's hurting you, they'll still do it. Right. So if you don't listen to the advice, take it for what it's worth. But um I would say that if you are a person, for example, who eats, sleeps, and breathes gym, bodybuilding, working out, gym is your life. Put
yes,
all the gym photos you want on there. As long as you understand that you are going to be eliminating a lot of women because that their life is not the gym.
mm,
So if you want a woman who's into the gym and who will go work out with you every day and all of that, that's fine. But my point is, understand that that's what you're doing. If all you want to do is hunt and fish, put hunting and fishing photos on there, but understand that you're not applying for a friends group here. You're trying to find a mate. You're trying to find a woman who wants to go out with you. So unless she's into all that, then you're not accomplishing what you think you are.
exactly. Your dating profile photos should tell a story about your
Mhm.
life. And what you've just said makes a lot of sense. So if that
Mhm.
is part of your life, then yes. But we've talked about the word intentional. I have to address all of the photos that you guys take when you leave the restroom, right? Because I have so many questions. I understand that after you use the bathroom, you're washing your hands, you're looking at yourself, oh, I'm feeling myself or whatever, but
Mhm.
I'm going to want to know if you washed your hands. It just sends me to a
Mhm.
different place. The other thing that really bugs me is the photo of you laying in bed. It makes me think that you've done it at 2 a.m. when you were bored, your shirt is off, and it just does not show that you're showing up as the best version of yourself. Those are two that really, really bug me. Um, and and I feel like if I didn't at least tell you guys that I don't specifically like that, and neither do a lot of the girlfriends
Mhm.
that I talk to,
Mhm.
it's just one of those things that doesn't make it seem like you spend a lot of time investing in putting this profile together.
I think that we have to have a very brief talk about calibers of people and how that if you take from the lowest caliber of person, let's just say in America, versus the highest caliber, and I don't mean well looks, I mean who they are, how they are as a person.
Right.
There's a certain level below which I'm just not interested in even discussing. Right.
Exactly.
And so to your point, I have heard from many, many, many women who are turned off by the shirtless photos, especially laying in the bed. At least if you're at the beach or on a boat or you're working out, at least it makes sense that you're
It
not wearing a
does.
shirt. If you're
Correct.
lying in bed, first of all, don't take a picture lying in bed at all. Don't take a picture with your shirt off unless it's in a situation that makes sense. So to me, the type of man who would lie in bed and take a shirtless photo for a dating profile is below what I would think would be the minimum threshold for the type of women who are likely to be listening to this podcast.
Exactly.
Right.
Yeah.
So let's just eliminate that very low bar stuff right off the bat. But the bathroom selfie is very curious to me because and I think too that sometimes maybe people just aren't thinking about the aesthetics. And
Right.
again, we're not curating like what we talked about earlier. We're not making fake photos or trying to be something we're not. But the quality of the photo matters. And if you're standing, in front of an overgrown ditch full of weeds with a couple of old political signs versus standing in a park, with some bushes and trees behind you, some nice,
Right.
whatever, just be aware of the background. And the bathroom, there's nothing positive about a bathroom photo. I can't think of anything positive, especially again, this is for a dating photo, right?
So many
This is
men
your
do it.
catalog to the world. I don't understand it.
So many men do that. And, you're talking about setting the bar high and low and calibers of people. I know that you have a lot of strong opinions about this, but I want you to just briefly talk a little bit about kind of the reverse side of that with the women who fill their profile with overly suggestive photos. I know that you feel very strongly about some things that have to do with this, and it goes along lines of what you were just saying. So,
Yeah.
talk a little bit about what, as a man, when you see those overly suggested, it's all cleavage, it's all seductive. What does that scream to you as, someone that is actually really looking for a partner?
For me, I'm going to start off with the guys because for me, this is the female version of the man who takes the pictures with his shirt off and he's cut, he's built,
Yeah.
he's taking pictures with his boat, his motorcycle, his car. He's using things about himself, his physical appearance, his financial situation,
Right.
his riches, whatever, using all of these ancillary things to project value. And it makes me wonder, what value does he have besides those things? Well, the women who do the low cut shirts with tons of cleavage showing, and it still blows my mind, but there are women who literally put photos of their ass in jeans or not naked, but photos of their backside where you can't even see their face in their dating profile. And I just wonder, if this is what you think you need to take up one of your 5 to 7 photo slots with, is a picture of your ass, how much do you have going on in here and here? How much character do you have? How much personality do you have? All of it just, to me, it's
Yeah.
like it's a cheap way to advertise. And it makes me think that the woman has very little else to offer other than her appearance.
I think we are talking here about actual dating.
Mhm.
We know that there is a huge hookup culture. As someone that is in my late 40s, I definitely see a lot of people who are looking for something casual. And what we're talking about is how to represent yourself in a way that sets you up for success in dating and success in a relationship.
Mhm.
I want to talk a little bit about a buzzword that we hear often. There's been shows about it, and it's called catfishing,
Mhm.
right?
Oh
So
yeah.
there's nothing worse than misrepresenting yourself as someone that you're not. It isn't
Yes.
fair to someone who has gotten dressed up, preparing, their evening, preparing to spend money, take you out, even if it's just for coffee or a drink. And you get out of the car and you represent yourself as something that your photos didn't show. So we're going to talk a little bit about catfishing. I want you to give me your opinions
Mhm.
on that. My dating profile says, I won't say I'm skinny if you don't say you're 5'10".
Mhm.
Thoughts on that, Jason?
Yeah. And I'm going to touch on something you said earlier. Before I do that, you mentioned the full body shot because that is very much related to what we're talking about here. And I do think that you have to have at least one full body shot, and say what you want about that being a requirement, but nobody wants to be surprised. And everybody, you need to let people know what you look like. And
Exactly.
I'm gonna tell you right off the bat, if I'm looking at a profile and it's all neck up shots, I'm not interested, because I know what that means. It
Yep.
means you don't have a full body shot for a reason. And so
Correct.
tying that into the catfishing, that is probably my number one complaint with my dating experience over the last several years is the catfishing. Because if you tell me you're not interested, if you don't reply to my message, whatever, I can handle any of that. Okay. Come at me straight, give it to me. I'm a big boy. I can take it.
Right.
What I can't take, what I can't stand is being disingenuous, and making me think. And again, this is not about how you look, because there's from 1 to 100, all different categories and of how people look. This is about, do you look like the way you represented yourself to me?
Yeah.
And I have shown up to so many dates, and the woman got out of the car or walked up to the restaurant or whatever, and clearly this woman is 10 years older. She is 50 pounds heavier, whatever the thing is, or her hair was long and beautiful and now it's a crew cut. Not about what she looks like. It's about, do you look like you made me expect? Do you look like the expectations that you set? And for a long time, I would politely sit through the date. And, most of these were dinner dates, which is another lesson I've learned. I don't usually do dinner dates for the first date. And this is one of the big reasons.
Right. Yeah.
Why do I want to go drop $100 or $150 on dinner and drinks for somebody that just lied to me and catfished me, and I never want to see him again?
Yeah.
So I don't do that anymore. And I'm not a jerk about it, but I will absolutely say, hey, I'm sorry, but you have misled me. You don't look anything like what your pictures do. And I'm not interested in carrying on with the date. I've already wasted enough time just showing up.
Sure. Well, this is not about being shallow, right? It's about honesty, right?
Right.
And it's about representing yourself. Leave your high school football photo out, right? Leave the photos of you from 10 years ago out, right? And
We were all skinnier and younger 10 years ago, or most, you know what I mean?
Yeah, I think that, listen, what we're saying is catfishing immediately creates distrust, right? So
I'm done.
yeah, yeah. Let's just say that you're still gorgeous, right? I'm a full figured woman, and I've shown up to dates and people have said, you're skinnier than I thought you were going to be. And I've also shown up to dates where, maybe in their mind, they had a different version of me that they thought was going to get out of the car, but it isn't because I misrepresented myself.
Right.
It is not because you didn't look at my profile and see exactly what I looked like from head to toe. So I don't think this is about you being shallow. Like I just said, it's just about not wanting to show up on that first date and be surprised.
The people who say that wanting your date to look like what you expected them to look like based on what they provided, the people who say that is shallow or vain are the people who are misrepresented.
Exactly.
They're the people who are angry that they played a trick, okay, to try to get somebody on a date, and the trick didn't work, or it worked until you meet in person. And that's the thing. Does anybody think that if you look vastly different than your photos when you show up, how do you think that is going to go?
And it almost, to me, would create more pressure, right? Like if I tried to make myself look thin in a bunch of photos, and then I get out of my car, it's just not happening. The goal here is confidence. It's not deception.
One of the things that there's a concept in business and in sales that is under promise and over deliver.
Yes.
And I have found that is true in business and sales and life and love and relationships and dating, everything else. So if anything, I would rather have a woman be pleasantly surprised to see me versus unpleasantly surprised.
Yeah, definitely.
Any day.
I think we talked a little bit about the concept of kind of not winging it, right? We've talked about, kind of the checklist: clear headshot, full body photo, lifestyle photo, fun personality photo, not overdoing it with a group photo, but it's really just about looking like that you didn't just throw this thing together. So if you look really good at work today, ask somebody to take a picture of you. My girlfriend and I had dinner. We hadn't seen each other in a while. And we literally just asked a stranger, hey, can you take a photo of us? And there's nothing wrong with showing like you took a little time to put your profile picture together. And if you don't already have them, then please find them. And maybe do it after you get your hair cut, maybe after you've got your beard trimmed. I'm a beard snob. So it's really just about making sure that your photos look put together, they are accurate, and like you said, they're not deceptive.
That's a good point about if you're at work or you're going somewhere, you're doing something. The last few profile photos that I've used or that I've taken on Facebook, for example, weren't pictures that I intentionally took. It was just I was going somewhere that day one was a job interview, and I thought, oh, I look decent.
Yeah.
And so I went outside and
Decent.
took a photo, right? And so
Sure.
that's all it is. It doesn't have to be a big production. It's just whenever you are, like you said, you get out of the shower and you're going somewhere doing something, you're going on a date, whatever. That's a great time to take a picture. Um,
Yeah. The interesting thing about that is, I go to a lot of fancy events at times. So I have a profile on my dating app where I am in probably cocktail dress, right? Because I'm
mhm,
at a tea party. And I also have a photo of me standing on my back porch in hiking boots and a flannel shirt. And do you know that uh, casual flannel photo of me just, plain Jane in it gets probably 3 to 1 likes and comments
mm.
than that one of me at the fancy tea party.
I believe it. I do. I think that casual and candid photos are probably some of the best ones. And you mentioned earlier that your photos tell a story. And again, this doesn't have to be some elaborate production. You don't need to storyboard this, but just think you have like one professional type photo. If you wear a suit to work or you wear whatever, a pantsuit, whatever women wear, then you have one dressed in a suit or a pantsuit.
Yeah.
If you like doing hiking and outdoor stuff, have one of you doing that. You can show different facets of your life doing different things. Have the one group photo, like I said, of you at the
Yeah.
wherever the get together. So you're showing different facets of your life and different areas of your life, and showing that you are a well-rounded person, basically.
Right.
And again, this doesn't have to be a big production.
Yeah, I think that's so important. The thing that you feel like is going to be your very best photo may not be actually what connects. Some of the apps have a feature
Hmm.
where you it will line up which of my photos it feels like is the best photo. So it's not always agreeing with what I think is my best photo.
Hmm.
So ask your friends, hey, what do you think about these photos? Or like you said, let's ask our friends to take our photo. Natural photos are always going to perform better than polished ones. And the key here is really about self awareness. And some of us are not the best versions of ourselves
Hmm.
when we get back into dating. We've just come out of, a relationship or a marriage, or maybe we have been with someone, maybe a guy has been with his wife for 20 years and, he never had to be polished. He's a simple man,
Right.
right? Like there's a
Yeah.
song, right?
Yeah.
Um, you're going to have to show up as the best version of that simple man that you can be. We don't want you to be someone different, but try to be the best version of him. And that's what I think is going to make you more successful. So sometimes the version of you that feels the most effortless
Hmm.
is the version that people will connect with.
Since you mentioned AI, it's so easy to make those photos now, and I don't think there's anything wrong with using with filtering or using AI to fix minor things. Like you said, if you have a photo of yourself that you really like, but the background's messy, use AI to fix that. That's not what I'm talking about.
Yeah.
Or if I don't know, you have a glint off your sunglasses or something, fix stuff like that. You shouldn't be wearing sunglasses in the picture, but you know what I mean.
Right.
It's the ones where you could tell that it's not a real photo. It's just I can't understand the mentality of people that think that this is actually fooling people because it doesn't.
Yeah. And you have to show up as when you show up, I'm not her, right? Like we
Yes.
did the cutest, coolest AI generated photos of ourselves, right? Because we were
Yeah.
on this take on me thing.
Yeah.
And they're really great. But if we were showing up on our first date with each other, we don't look exactly like those photos show us. And it's just, I have mixed feelings about AI, but
Well, it depends on what you're using it for. I mean, if you and I make a graphic for our podcast and we have AI avatars of us, there's nothing wrong with that. It's fun, it's cool, it looks good. But what I'm talking about is specifically for a dating profile where you are putting yourself in a catalog, presenting yourself to people. It's not you can be artistic in whatever area of your life. You can do whatever you want, but
yeah.
you should be realistic and accurate in the way you portray yourself on a date.
There's a lot of really good people out there that don't know how to do this. And that's what we're trying to do here is help them figure out how to get this part right.
And it's self-awareness is something that you mentioned, and that is the key to so many things, because if you're not willing to look at what you're doing
Yeah.
in any situation, in any area of your life, and figure out if it's working or whether you need to adjust or recalibrate, then you just assume that your perspective and your way is always the right way. And none of us are always right. It's the self-awareness is, like, to your point about a lot of the apps will pick your best photo for you.
Right.
People will want to argue with that. The algorithm, all these rooms full of servers and chips and computers and billions of data points and all that, it knows more than you do. And
Right.
it knows that all these people are clicking on this photo over all the other ones.
Yeah.
But yet we still want to argue with it. We still don't want to trust it. Believe me, the algorithm knows more than you do. And if it tells you that this is your best photo, then you should use that photo.
Yeah.
Just like if you show your pictures to me and say, hey, what do you think about these dating pictures? And I go, this one's great. This one, get rid of it. If you don't want people's advice, then don't ask for it. In other words, we have to let go of what we think sometimes, be willing to let go of what we're holding on to, and trust the opinion of other people if it's somebody that we trust in the first place.
Yeah. Think about having a photo shoot done, a professional photo shoot. They're going to take hundreds of photos of you, and they're all going to be slightly different. And one is going to be a little bit different than the other. But if you're having a photo shoot done, they're probably going to want you to see you in different ways, different facets of you, different outfits,
Sure.
things like that. So that needs to be part of it needs to be, that same type of mentality that we take when we do our dating profile, because you may have a lot to offer, but if you don't present yourself well in that first photo, I'm not going to get a chance to see what else there is that's great about you. So
Think we should probably touch on grooming, more so for men than women. This is not something that is an issue with women as much, I don't think. But guys, this is not about trying to tell you how to look, but just going back to the idea of putting forth the best version of yourself.
Yeah.
Maybe the time to take pictures is after you get a haircut and after you trim your beard, things like that. Just work with what you got. Just try to make yourself look presentable.
Exactly.
That's really all you have to do. It's not that hard.
Yeah. And what I do not understand is why someone wouldn't take the time to make themselves look a little bit more presentable
Right.
than scruffy Duffy, I guess, with with that profile. Some chicks really are into that. They really, really dig it. But keep the haircut, groom the beard, guys, brush your teeth, wear something that looks good. And we're going to talk a little bit more about grooming when you show up for the date in a later episode. But it is important to look like you are more put together. It doesn't need to be fancy. You just need to present yourself accurately and the best version of yourself, whoever that is.
I'll say this. To me, it's the important thing is to present yourself the way that you want to be presented.
Correct.
And make sure that the way you are presenting yourself is what you think it is. So if you're the kind of guy who says, I'm going to grow the biggest beard I want to, and I don't give a damn what anybody thinks, I say good for you. Just know that there's a lot of women who are into that. But if that's where you are, that's fine.
Sure.
Who we're trying to talk to is the guy who maybe hasn't trimmed his beard and is not thinking about that and doesn't realize that it looks a little unkempt, right?
Exactly.
We're trying to put that idea, okay, maybe I need to tighten this up a little bit before I take my dating profile photo.
Yeah. If your photo doesn't land, nothing else is really going to get a chance. And it's sad that this is where we are in modern dating, right?
Mm-hmm.
But it is where we are. And the first impression is your chance to make someone stop scrolling. So what are you going to do to make me stop scrolling?
Well, I'm going to start with great photos, obviously, but I think that's a good place to wrap it up for today. So any final thoughts, Amber?
Make it count.
Make it count. Thanks for watching. We'll see you guys next time.
Bye, everyone.
Bye.